What's going on, ATL? My name is Jeff Rawlins, and this is Atlanta Sports Raw, your one-stop shop for everything Atlanta sports. We talk Hawks, we talk Braves, we talk Falcons, and we talk Atlanta United. We are going to be recapping Game 2 of the Hawks versus Philadelphia 76ers playoff series, Round 2, a game that the Hawks lost, a game of runs, a game of interesting officiating, and a game that looked like a defensive loss, but I'm going to tell you why I actually think the offense took the bigger dive in this game. But first, some news. We do have an injury update with DeAndre Hunter. He will be missing the rest of the playoffs. He has a new slight tear in his right knee, his lateral meniscus. They found it in an MRI on Tuesday, and he's going to be having surgery in Los Angeles next Tuesday on it. And they say probably 3 to 4 months. The first Hawks game is in October, so hopefully we may see him back for training camp and preseason, but that's it for now. He will be out indefinitely, and this is a big loss. We saw what he did with Julius Randle and Derrick Rose in the first round, and not having him to be a versatile Swiss Army knife defensively and what he can create offensively. He can score, but he's just so huge on the defensive side of the ball, being able to plug him in wherever we needed him to. It's really what any team wants, a 6'8" guy that can move and that can just guard anybody in the league. And I think that could be the difference in the series. I'm not saying right now that I think we're going to lose because Hunter's out. Obviously, we won Game 1 without him, but it will be harder. I'll just say that. So let's dive into this this Game 2, a game that the Hawks lost 118 to 104. It started off with a big Philly run. They started out with pace in the first quarter. They were often looking for that early long pass. And on the defensive side, they were doubling Trey. They were trying to trap him at the point of attack right from the start. And off of that, the Hawks just could not make a basket to start off. They were one of 8 at the beginning of the game. And on the other side of the ball, they were just tearing up Trey with switches. There was 3 or 4 times he got caught on the pick and roll switch. Tobias Harris was just tearing us up. He had 14 points in the first quarter. And then when Atlanta had the ball, I thought we were just too quick to go for the threes. We were really impatient. We couldn't pick out 2 or 3 good passes, and it seemed like all our possessions we were giving the ball back when there were still 10 seconds left on the shot clock. And on top of that, Philly really couldn't miss in the first quarter. 16 of the first 18 points were from the paint, so they were getting easy shots. And they were up 23-6 with 5 minutes left in the first. That was the first run. And then we saw Tony Snell come into the game, and was only in for a couple minutes, but Embiid, kind of went Freddy Krueger on him. That was the first instance of kind of a trend in the game. I'm not usually one to blame the officiating, and I'm not going to now. The Hawks would have lost this game if this wasn't true, but it seemed like every call that Philly wasn't getting called on them, Atlanta was getting called on them, if that makes sense. It's not like the officiating was bad for Atlanta. Most of their foul calls were calls. They just weren't going the other way, in my opinion. It just seemed like Philly was getting the benefit of the doubt on those edge calls that the Hawks were just not getting. So just a little inconsistent, but that's all I'll say about the officiating. Except when we get to that Gallinari Embiid altercation, but we'll get to that. Other than that, in the first quarter, Trey just looked really bad shooting the ball. He shot horribly, was just taking some awful threes, kind of desperation shots, it looked like, just really wanting to get it something to, set his fire, and nothing was going. At the end of the first quarter, Gallinari came in and kind of helped stop the bleeding. He was really good in this game. I think he ended with 21 points, and just came in kind of late in the first quarter and stayed in when the bench unit stayed in the second quarter. So we'll move on there. Yeah, like I said, the bench was huge. Herter and Gallo were really big. Gallinari had 15 points in the first half, and while their bench unit was out, the Sixers also had their bench unit out, and the Hawks brought it back to within 4 with a 13-2 run to start off the second quarter. Shots that Philly were making in the first, they weren't making in the second. So it kind of tipped back in our favor. Kind of a cool moment. Capella and Embiid had these two kind of statement dunks, like back to back. A lot of people, including me, saw a push from Embiid, but they were both pretty big dunks, and that kind of stopped our run and started one for them. Seth Curry hit a couple big threes. He was 4 of 4 from beyond the arc to start the game. He was really big, and like I said, Philly was just making shots. Then we get to that altercation with the double technical. I thought it was a clear offensive foul. I don't think there should have been any question about that. It was a good call. And I honestly think the double technical was a good call. Gallo probably was chirping a little bit and gave him a little bump. Embiid was obviously the worst in the situation, but you can't really eject him there. He's responding to something, and you could clearly see that on the replay. So I thought a double technical was a good call. Embiid went on the bench and just really did not look comfortable on that knee after that. But moving on to the end of the second quarter, again, the bench was huge. Herter and Gallinari hit 2 big threes back to back to take us to only down 2 with an 8-0 run as the quarter ended. And overall, in the first half, the Hawks bench outscored Philly 32-0, which was huge and would completely flip in the second half. But if that had continued, we definitely would have won the game. It was 57-55 at halftime. Philly won the interior, they won the paint, and the Hawks won the perimeter. I thought eventually it would come down to who won those two battles more effectively. That pattern would keep going throughout the game, but obviously that shifted, and so we'll jump into that. In the third, we actually had a lead. Capella came out with a big lob and tied it up. I wanted to see more of Capella utilized. I thought we were too easily shooting the three, like I said earlier, and I thought him and Collins had that post up when they wanted it. We just weren't looking for it, and the times that we saw it, Capella was good. He just was underutilized, so that's why he didn't have many shots or many points. But again, Curry and Embiid were just lights out to start that third quarter after we tied it up. And they go up by 10, and we just could not stop them scoring. That's why I said, a lot of people view this as a defensive mock-up in this game. But, I mean, they were shooting 50% from threes. They ended the whole game at 46% from three. I mean, sometimes you just can't stop that. They're going to shoot like that. But Herter did stay hot. He had 20 points. And Bogey hit 2 straight, really good contested threes in another run, a 12-2 run by the Hawks, which cut the lead back to 1 with about 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter. And then just lots of sloppy play at the end of that quarter. A couple turnovers, and they let Philly get back ahead by 6. And then obviously Milton comes in, and his first shot is that crazy 36-footer at the buzzer. And the Hawks are down 7 at the end of the third quarter. After that, the bench just went crazy for Philly. And most of it was Milton, who only played 1 minute in game 1. And he was 14 points in 11 minutes in this game. Just a weird thing that I don't think will continue through the series, especially in Atlanta. But, I mean, it's something to watch out for. But I don't think he'll shoot like that. He had a couple, shots, even when he was hot, that just didn't look good. And you could tell they weren't going to go in. But sometimes the player's just shooting well. And you got to cover him. The Sixers started off with that 14-0 run. They were up 18. And 3 things I think caused that for the Hawks: turnovers, missed shots, and bad passes. They put Trey in when there was only 9 minutes to go, which I thought could have been sooner. They went with that Bogey Collins bench line for a long time. But at that point, it was over. There was no way we were going to make up that much points when the Knicks were shooting that well. And eventually McMillan knew it. There was actually garbage time. The bench kind of cleared with about 4 to 5 minutes to go. And he knew it. So hats off to the Philly bench. They shot well. They came in and won the second half, and that was the difference. And shooting was really the main cause of that. The Hawks overall in the game were only 45% from the field, 36% from threes. That's not a horrible number. It's not great. It's not playoff winning number. That's something you can do with great defense. But Philly was 52% from the field and 46% from three. That's just very tough to overcome, especially when you're up 18 with about 10 minutes left to go in the fourth. Let's go ahead and move on to some takeaways because no one likes to harbor on a loss. And there were some things that I really do think we can adjust. And I say it all the time, water finds its level. Philly's not going to shoot as well as they did tonight. And the Hawks aren't going to shoot as well as they did in game one. So I wonder how a game of their median play would look against these two teams. But yeah, some takeaways. Atlanta turned the ball over 18 times. There were 28 points given off those turnovers. Not good. You cannot have ball security that horrible and expect to win the game. And like I said, the offense was not great, but it was okay. But that ball security, that's why I think this game was really, you given up by the offense. The defense didn't seem to play great, but if you look at the scoring numbers from game 1 to game 2, Embiid, he had 40 points, and in game 1 he had 39. Curry, 21 and 20. The only difference in the starting lineups that was different than the first game by more than 2 points was Ben Simmons, and he had less points. I think he finished with 4 points in this game. He was not good. It was a weird game for Ben Simmons. Anyways, so the defense, it looked worse in this game, but I don't think it was overall the problem. The offense just gave too many easy shots, off turnovers, quick transition looks that notably the Hawks are not great covering. And Trey was just not on his game. I mean, you're going to have games like that. He was finding some good passes, and we had some good looks. The shots just weren't falling, especially for Trey. But like I said, water finds its level. You could see that when they weren't making shots, it was kind of dragging down their effort level defensively. Another reason why the offense kind of led to this bad game. But we do head back to Atlanta with home court switched. If you asked me after game 2 if we had a split in Philly, I would have taken that all day. Just because I wasn't expecting what could happen with Embiid. He has played really good the last 2 games. And to face this Phillies team at home and come away with a split, I think we're in perfect condition to win this series, especially now that we have home court. And that's what I predicted. I predicted we'd win game 1, and it would be chalk up to there, and we would take it in 6. But to do that, we do have to make some adjustments. We have to shoot better. I think we can get away with their perimeters, their perimeter shooters having a little more space. I'm okay if Curry is just shooting lights out. He's gonna make those shots. But if we crowd the paint and don't let Tobias Harris and Embiid have so much room to post up and drive to the basket, I think that kind of gives us room to work defensively. And I would definitely start Kevin Huerter over Solomon Hill in Game 3. He was almost like he wasn't there. He had a really bad shot at 3, and I think he played 5 or 6 minutes in the whole game. And Huerter was just so much better. I think he offers so much more defensively and especially offensively. Because, he had 2 blocked shots. Huerter's been really good in the playoffs defensively. He looks short because he has such a small face on TV. It's really funny. He's like 6'7". He's a big dude. But, yeah, more adjustments we can make. I think getting Capella and Collins more involved in the offense would be really good, especially if we're not hitting the long ball. There was room to work in the paint. We just didn't see it utilized enough. And, quit taking those early impatient threes. When we do that, when we rush, when the other team controls the pace of the game because we're constantly getting the ball over, we're just not good. But I think the home environment should help with that a little bit. You could tell in last night's game when the emotions were cooking, when the pace quickened, that the crowd was a huge factor in that. And Philly fed off of Philly fed off of that, and it definitely diminished the Hawks. So they will have home court in the next 2 games. Let's see how McMillan and the Hawks respond. But that's going to be it for tonight, recapping a Game 2 loss. But coming back on Friday on Atlanta to do Game 3, and hopefully we come back with a big Hawks win. But that's it for tonight, and hope everybody's having a great week, and God bless. See you later, ATL.